big story. There was a tsunami in Bihar. Nemo, Nitish and Modi washing everyone in their way completely off the track. 202 wins for the NDA versus just 35 for the Grand Alliance. The Grand Alliance being decimated. If you've just joined us, I want to take you right across to the NDTV leaderboard and give you a quick sense of where things stand at the end of what has been an action-packed day in battlefield Bihar. Across the state, a wave of saffron, tsunami we are calling this. The NDA at 220, 80 seats up from the last elections. The Bharatiya Janata Party with 90 wins. The Janata Dal United with 84. Chirag Paswan will be with us in a while. His party, the Lok Janshakti at 19. The Hindustan Awam Morcha at 5. Upendra Kushwaha's party at 4. If you compare with the 2020 Vidhan Sabha election, here you see the map of 2020. Look at how fiercely contested that election was. The green represents the India Alliance. The saffron represents the NDA. It was split relatively equally. Switch to 2025. There is saffron from Bhojpur all the way to Simanchal. Very few pockets of green on that 2025 map there. If I compare with the Lok Sabha elections of 2024, a big change. There were 174 assembly leads that the alliance had in 2024 in the Lok Sabha elections versus that in 2025 the NDA now has 202 leads. So even relative to just the last Lok Sabha election, they've been able to substantially improve their leads at the moment. If I look at the strike rate, this is IPL style complete decimation. Start from the much wanted Prashant Kishore. His strike rate stands at 0. Shunya bata Sannata. That's the JSP strike rate. He did put up a fight. It didn't convert into seats. The AIMIM has a 18% strike rate, winning 5 out of the 28 seats Asad Ovaisis candidates contested. The Congress down to just 10%. You saw Prime Minister Narendra Modi literally tear into the Gandhi family, saying that there is dissent brewing to an extent that there will be a split, he thinks, in the Congress soon. The RJD at 17.5% strike rate, only 25 RJD candidates winning. The Janata Dal United with a strike rate of 83.2, leading the pack, smiling there in that frame. JP Nadda leading his party, Ajit Jha, to 90 out of 101 seats. That's a 90% strike rate, which just till yesterday was quite unimaginable even to those within the BJP. This is beyond their wildest imagination.
You said 160, right, for the NDA.
Itni to aayenge.
This is equivalent of 450 Paar. This is equivalent, like 90% of seats you contest in means if Lok Sabha is 525, that's like 450 plus. This is unprecedented. I've never seen an election where you have 90% of the seats by a major party they win. Maybe like AAP in Delhi was something like that.
But remember, the historic mandate was in 2010 when BJP JDU had got 206 seats, although
but they're almost there.
Vote was less.
There's a big difference. That was after the first 5 years of Nitish.
That's
Kumar,
right. Yes.
When you were relatively new in your term.
And JDU had secured 115.
Power for 2 decades.
Absolutely.
206 then versus 202 now. It's a huge difference. I want to invite Veer Sanghvi. He's joining us in the studio. Ashok Malik is here as well. They'll help dissect what the stat looks like at the end of a very long and exciting day in the battlefield of Bihar. Take a look at what's really happened when it comes to vote shares. The Gathbandhan is at 38.4%, which means they're roughly where they were, just 0.4% down from the last elections. The NDA has jumped up to 47.5%, 6% up. The votes that the NDA has won have come from the others. Others were roughly 20% last time. 6% of that vote has gone into the NDA kitty. Tejashwi Yadav can draw solace from the fact that his alliance is where it was in terms of vote share. I want to go across to Yogendra Yadav, who's joining us, and I want to show, because Yogendra Yadav likes election data quite in the way that he does, I'll show you one interesting nugget as I go across to him. I'm looking here at the seats classified as Muslim plus Yadav stronghold seats. So these really should be seats where the RJD and the Congress alliance should do really well. On the 84 seats that C voter classified as being Muslim plus Yadav dominant, the NDA has an 82.1% strike rate, winning 69 of those 84 seats. The Gathbandhan down to just 11 out of those 84 with a strike rate of just 13.1. This is the electoral arithmetic of Bihar being rewritten. Yogendra Yadav, you have a keen lens on Indian politics. No matter your own personal views, what do you think the message is that Bihar has sent, not just to Patna, not just to the state, but to the rest of the country this evening?
Thank you, Rahul. I'm not sure about the message to the country because I saw it as a very Bihar-specific election, which is what it was, which is how it should be read. To my mind, I mean, I should put it on record. You mentioned my personal opinion. It's not just opinion. You see, I'm a political activist. Bharat Jodo Abhiyan had supported the opposition and I had campaigned for Mahagathbandhan. Having said it, I must say that in my assessment, right from the beginning, NDA was ahead in this election, and I thought at no stage did NDA look like losing the election. NDA was ahead because I think NDA had a bigger coalition, bigger political coalition. NDA had a bigger social coalition, and NDA on top of it had managed to secure support from women. So NDA's victory did not surprise me. But I must say the extent of victory, the fact that it went up from where they was in Lok Sabha, that intrigues me. And the number of seats, which is 200 plus, that's when I saw it last, that is equal to the kind of performance the NDA had. It was not called NDA then, in 2010, Nitish's victory. Now, it so happened that I traveled then and I traveled this time. I do not see that kind of sentiment, so I worry if it is only public opinion shift or is there something more than that. That is what worries me. The extent of victory defies my understanding at least.
No, but I have a problem with that argument and I'll explain what. For example, if vote chori was a big issue, if there were lakhs of people, as Rahul Gandhi had suggested, would have been stricken off the voting list, there would have been posts on social media, there would have been bites on television where people were complaining, there would have been lines, queues of people saying, Hamara vote chori ho gaya, etc., etc. None of that happened. So when you say that this baffles you and when Rahul Gandhi continuously suggests that elections are being stolen, is he not doing great disservice and is he not living in delusion and denial, not realizing the fact that many of his candidates and his alliance simply didn't fight for a large part of a very short campaign? He wasn't even on the battlefield. If that is how hard you fight versus given how the BJP fought this election, how does the opposition alliance hope to win? How does it hope to fight? How does it hope to contest?
Rahul, I did not mention vote chori. I think that was playing in your mind. And I did not think Congress was such a central player in Bihar. Somehow you want to think of it that way. I somehow don't think Congress was the central player in Bihar. Let me focus on what I said. I simply said that while the victory of NDA was to my mind a foregone conclusion, and for some very good reasons that I could understand, the extent of it baffles it, is beyond me, and I'm wondering if there is something more to it that meets the eye. What I had in mind was a series of things. We do not have a level playing field of any kind whatsoever, whether it is in terms of official machinery being used, whether it is in terms of money, and now that I'm speaking to you, I must underline whether it is in terms of media's complete partisanship, and finally whether it is in terms of Election Commission's own partisanship. All these things have played into this election, which must be acknowledged, which must be registered. I'm not yet speaking of electoral fraud, which is a very different subject for which you need evidence, and I would not speak about it till I have some evidence with me. On the voter list, let me remind you that 68 lakh names were deleted from voters list and 24 lakh names were added. We are speaking of an absolutely unprecedented exercise. To say that there were no appeals and protests, which Election Commission has claimed, is false, because according to Election Commission, about 4 lakh objections were raised. These are Election Commission's own statistics, not mine. And about additions, usually there are no, there is complaint against deletions, and as I said, there were complaints. About additions, normally if there are fake additions, there are no complaints. No one gets to know except on the voting day. So we do not know. I'm not saying the election was won merely on that basis. No, I'm not saying that. I've already said something reasonable, something that I think you would understand and acknowledge.
Okay, let's spend a moment on the inability of Tejashwi Yadav to broad base his coalition. If you look at the votes that they've got, they roughly are where they were in the last elections. The magic of Lalu at the peak of his social mobilization was his ability to get Muslims, Yadavs and a lot of the Ati Pichdi Jatis with him. On the contrary, Tejashwi Yadav now is just about that vote bank that he inherited. He hasn't been able to grow it. That's a real problem which is holding back the RJD's chances, which is why the BJP and the JDU have done as well as they have, and the RJD hasn't been able to increase its vote share much. Why do you think that went wrong? What could they have done to make things different? And what does the future lie for a regional party like the RJD from here?
That, Rahul, is a very fair point. In fact, that's a point I've been making again and again. Lalu Yadav's Mandal revolution in Bihar in the 1990s was not a Yadav Muslim coalition. It was a very broad-based coalition of all disadvantaged communities. And unlike Mulayam Singh Yadav, Lalu Yadav's coalition included a large number of Dalit communities as well. And unfortunately, that broad unity of the lower sections of society has over the years been reduced, truncated into a Muslim Yadav coalition, which does not work very well. And that responds to the interesting statistics that you had shown. When we say Muslim Yadav dominated, it does not mean Muslim Yadav majority. It only means maybe both of them put together are 35%, maybe they are 40%. Now in that situation, what happens is this, that if you see Muslims and Yadav mobilizing in big numbers and consolidating behind RJD, that leads to counter mobilization. And that counter mobilization is not limited only to forward communities. The possibility that there would be a Yadav capture of power tends to put many EBCs also in a state of unease, anxiety, and there is a counter mobilization. So I can fully understand why in those seats NDA may have done better. And that indeed is one of the major failures. And now that we are on opposition failures, let me also mention the second thing, namely the historical memory of Lalu Prasad Yadav's regime being a jungle raj, a word that has been played about by the media, used by the NDA and exaggerated and so on. But the fact is that that memory has stuck. And this is not merely in the forward communities of Bihar. This is also shared by many other communities. And the second major failure of the opposition has been their inability to wash this stain, this memory, and to convince the people of Bihar that they could be a credible alternative. Tejashwi has a basis to claim that, because as a deputy chief minister, Tejashwi's own record was quite decent. But has he been able to build a campaign projecting himself and the opposition as a credible opposition which would improve law and order, which would do justice to the question of employment, which is the biggest issue of Bihar? I don't think they've...
Yogendraji, Ashok Malik has a question for you.
Ashok. Opposition has to work while they are legitimate to right to ask about electoral foul play as well. Yes, Ashok.
Yeah, Yogendra, I have a question for you. The 2010 election has been brought up. I remember that election well. I'm sure you do too. I traveled to Bihar then. The BJP had a better strike rate than the JDU, but clearly the BJP was piggybacking back then on a much stronger JDU and Nitish. Nitish was at his peak then. Today, my sense is in this election, while Nitish has been clearly the leader of the alliance, no question, it's a more equal or equitable alliance. Are national parties, in this case the BJP, clawing back space in a polity that has been dominated by regional parties?
I'm not sure of national parties in general because I don't see that happening to Congress in the case of Bihar, Ashok. But yes, BJP is definitely coming back and becoming a bigger party. And to be absolutely frank, history suggests that whenever BJP has aligned with a party, with a regional party, in the short or in the medium run, that party has disappeared. Either BJP has eaten it up or it has fragmented. So I do expect something similar to happen to JDU, but it won't happen right now. The only reason I recall 2010, Ashok, was that when I traveled in 2010, and you would recall that, wherever I went, people said, oh my God, my village has been transformed. Look at the road. You went to a Yadav household, they said, look, we won't vote to hum Lalu ji ko denge, but Nitish has done a very decent job. Muslims said, look, we are not, they are with BJP, we won't vote them, but bhai kaam to is bande ne acha kiya hai. You heard that across. Did you hear that this time? At least I did not. Is it because of my partisanship or am I missing something? I don't know.
Veer Sanghvi has a question for you, Yogendra.
Yogan, I want to just look forward. We've talked about the legacy of Lalu, which has helped his son in terms of the base, but probably damaged him in terms of his reputation. We've talked about Nitish, who's done extraordinarily well after so many years in power. But this is the end, really. Lalu is no longer a factor. The generation that's going to vote in the next election is going to have fewer memories of Jungle Raj. And Nitish, I doubt very much if he will lead his party into the next election. So in a sense, we're on the threshold of a change in Bihar. Ashok asked if you think the BJP can fill that vacuum. What do you think will happen? What does the future hold for Bihar?
Well, if you look at the opposition, starting with that, Tejashwi is young. Tejashwi has a long political career. And if Tejashwi were to learn that one thing from his father, namely about a broad social base, and unlearn one thing from his father, namely inattention to governance and law and order, Tejashwi has a long future to go. And if Tejashwi could do what Prashant Kishore did this time, which is to say, spend 2 years walking from village to village to village, if Tejashwi were to do that, Tejashwi has a future. Bihar is looking for Badlao, but this time Bihar did not think that he could be that agent of Badlao. But Bihar does want Badlao. Bihar is desperate for this. As for the BJP, who can rule out BJP's future in this country with everything going for them? The trouble with BJP at the moment is that BJP does not have a credible backward face. BJP, frankly, has represented the upper caste dominance of Bihar, and that's why BJP needs a Nitish. Forward caste of Bihar, in order to continue their stranglehold over power, would always need a backward who would ensure forward dominance. This is the critical nature of Nitish. But as you rightly said, Nitish is on his way out. So who else? BJP does not have yet a leader. That's BJP's biggest limitation.
Chetan Bhagat has a question and a comment. Chetan.
Automatically seen as a party of the backwards.
Yogendra ji, slightly different. How do you analyze Prashant Kishore's performance? 3.4% vote share, 0 seats. You've been in AAP when it started out. You've had your own attempts. What are your general observations on newcomers in politics? What is the good and bad here? And do you think Prashant overpromised? Do you think he's met expectations? He's beaten expectations?
Chetan, today is a day to be fair to Prashant. I must confess that I've gone and campaigned against his party. But today is a day to be fair. Today is a day to acknowledge, number one, that in Indian politics, for any outsider to break through the high entry barriers is next to impossible. It's a day to acknowledge that Prashant Kishore really worked hard, showed political acumen, and managed to reach his message. I traveled in Bihar. In every single village, I found people discussing his initiative, and so many young people, none of who actually voted for him, were spouting his language, were asking questions about education and health. So today is a day to recall and salute the work. It is also a day to remember that all this does not translate into vote for one very important reason, unlike the Aam Aadmi Party. You need a movement. You need a ground organizing.
Okay.
You cannot create a Jana Sangathan and Jan Andolan based on paid political worker, which is what Prashant Kishore did.
Yogendra
Paid
Yadav
political
ji,
workers do not make movements in India.
for joining us and sharing your thoughts. Thank you very much. I want to go across now to one of the key players in the Bihar battlefield, Asaduddin Owaisi. We caught up with him in Kishanganj when he was campaigning around Simanchal, and I just want to show our viewers what the track record of Asaduddin Owaisi's party, the AIMIM, has been in this election. And then we'll get started with Mr. Owaisi, because there's a lot of chatter that maybe Asad Owaisi's vote in the Simanchal region will actually come down. He had 5 seats in the last party, despite 3 or 4 of his candidates leaving, MLAs leaving him between the last election now. He's still come back with 5 MLAs. Mr. Owaisi, how are you looking at the AIMIM's performance at the end of the day? You campaigned hard, you were entrenched in Simanchal for several days. What do you think you've come out? Apart from these 5 MLAs, what's the big picture for you?
Well, I'm thankful to the Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for blessing us with this victory. I'm thankful to the people of Simanchal, my state president and everyone who has worked hard. One thing is for sure, Rahul, that is people who took away our 4 MLAs had wrongly assumed that MIM will be weakened. But the people of Simanchal, and especially of all these 5 assembly constituencies, have reposed faith in MIM. And they have given a very strong message to those parties that their vote was for Patang Chhap. That vote was for Simanchal justice and development. So that is a strong message that has been given. I'm grateful to them. I'm thankful to all my party members from Maharashtra, Imtiaz Sahab, Mufti Ismail Qasmi Sahab, Shaukat from UP, and all my MLAs who had come down from Hyderabad. And everyone worked as a team. And just now, Rahul, I came to know that our youth president of Bihar and spokesperson Adil Hassan lost Balrampur by 351 votes only. And the CPIML leader of MLA from 20 years came third. So, a substantial progress has been made. We'll build on it. And
on this election leaderboard, I have one widget. It's called the Owaisi Impact. I'll show that to our viewers and then we'll have this conversation. If I look at the Owaisi Impact, which basically looks at how many seats were contested, there were 28 seats he contested. His party has won 5, lost 23, but he played the role of a spoiler on 8 seats, which basically means that on 8 seats, the AIMIM vote share is more than the gap between the party that won and the party that came second. So if Owaisi wasn't there, the results of 8 seats would have been different. On those 8 seats, the NDA won 6, the Gathbandhan only 2, which basically means that for the large part, you've helped the NDA. Now, this is the charge which the secular front throws your way each time, and the data from Bihar, from this NDTV leaderboard, Mr. Owaisi, seems to back that. How do you respond to your detractors?
So I will tell my social media team to immediately record what Rahul Kamal has just now said. Now, assuming you're right, if those 7 seats are given to the Gathbandhan, what would be the number right now? What, 40?
34
41,
plus 6, right? 40, yes.
So this is what it is. 40, right? My question is that, Rahul, can any of these people who blame me, can they tell us, after giving 36% of tickets to 14% Yadavas, why have they lost? Do they have this intellectual honesty or braveness or boldness, whatever you call it, to say that, oh, the Yadavas didn't vote for us, we lost? Do they have this honesty to say we were about to make a 3.5% community, a deputy CM, they lost, we lost? Why is it that it all boils down to the Muslims only? In any elections, are Muslims only the people who are going to vote? What about the Brahmins? What about the Bhumihars? What about the Thakurs? What about the EBC communities which are there, the 36, 37 castes which are there? The Dalit community, 8 or 7 castes are there. It all, Muslims. I mean, come on, that is what I told you in your interview, which I'm thankful to you did it, that Muslims should have been made voters. The day we become citizen with rights, our issues will be addressed, this discrimination will stop, your leadership will be created. Unfortunately, every time it is, you have to come out and vote to ensure that secularism is alive, pluralism is alive. We are not some sort of a coolie or a laborer to carry this weight. We have been carrying this weight for last 70 years. What is the result? Why are you not able to win? Why are you not able to defeat BJP? You know, 3 times Mr. Modi has become the Prime Minister. Once again, people of Bihar have given a mandate to Nitish Kumar. Now, it is shocking to hear what Akhilesh Yadav has told the media. He's blaming the SIR. And he says, oh, we'll not allow this in UP. So, Akhilesh Yadav, Rahul lost 2014 Parliament election, 19 Parliament election, 14 Parliament, 19 Assembly, 22 Assembly. Again in 24, you couldn't win the Parliament. So what is it that you want us to do? What is it these people expect the Muslims to do? Should we cut our heads? Should we cut our fingers? What should we do?
My colleague Ajit Jha has a question for you, Ovaisis Saab.
And you don't have... Ovaisis Saab, congratulations.
Yeah.
We met you in Purnia. You've done exceedingly well. You told us you are in the fight. In 8 seats, you got 5. My big question is, are you going to contest the West Bengal elections this time? Because obviously you are extremely popular in that zone, in that border area, where, you know, different communities, different castes of Muslims, you have been able to unite for the last 2 elections.
Well, sir, to be honest with you, let me, have a moment with the seats which we have won. Let me have a moment to share the grief with my party candidates who could not win, especially Adil Hassan. And then we can, think about it in a good time. But we have a unit in West Bengal. We'll have to sit and decide. But right now, I think so it is too early. At this moment, when there are many party candidates who are feeling, not very happy, some are very happy. So we'll have to sit down with them first and then think about the strategy. But as far as UP is concerned, the game is on. We will definitely try to win more seats over there. We hope that this alliance which we had formed with Chandrasekhar Azad or with Swami Prasad Maurya, it continues in UP, but we don't know.
I don't understand you. Why are you sure that you want to contest in UP and unsure that you want to contest in West Bengal? What are you thinking? Explain your logic.
And also add to Rahul's question, Ovaisis Sahab, you were the one who united the Shershabadis with the different other communities over there. You are very popular among the Bengali speaking Muslims in that area of Kishanganj especially, and the entire target of Ghuspaitis is against the Shershabadis, and they are also in big numbers in West Bengal.
I absolutely agree with you. Unfortunately, we could not ensure a victory of a Shershabadi. They contested. But I have promised them and assured them that inshallah in the near future a Shershabadi should become an MLA from Simanchal. And you're absolutely right, they have felt the whole brunt of this so-called Ghuspetia, and they are a very proud community. And so give me some time. It's not that Rahul, you are saying you don't even understand, but there is a time for it. We'll sit down and speak about it. But as far as Shershabadi is concerned, Surjapuri is concerned, Kulhaiya, Sheikh, Ansari, and Nai is concerned, we are working for them. These are the reality which one has to accept. And by the grace of Almighty Allah, all of us have...
Veer Sanghvi has a question and a comment. Veer.
And to ensure that
Just sort of the obvious question,
please.
Mr. Owaisi, you campaigned in Bihar, you sensed the mood of the people, particularly the Muslim community. Do you think they voted only on regional issues, or was there some element of a national issue or something to do with national issues in the way in which they voted?
It was more the regional issues, it was more the state issues, it was more the issue of Seemanchal, which is the most underdeveloped area in our country, and this is corroborated by various empirical evidences of the state government of Bihar and Niti Aayog. So it was mix of all this, and of course there's this great concern that everyone wants to take our votes, but no one wants to create our leadership. And everyone, there's a sense of discrimination, disempowerment. So our work was on these issues, and also the young Muslim have realized that we do not want to be mere voters, we want to become citizens with rights. And that is where they feel that if we become citizens with rights, we will become leaders, and we can shape the future of not only Bihar, of the Muslim community, but also of India, and make it more stronger. Because you see, Seemanchal is a very, very strategic area as far as India is concerned. And you cannot have an area which loses hundreds of acres of land in one assembly constituency because of flood. You cannot have, in the whole of Bihar, the highest infant mortality, stunted, wasted children are in Seemanchal. You have only 92% Muslims who cannot pass the 12th exam. 2,630 rupees is the monthly income. Now these are all the issues which resonated, and of course the migration part. So it was a mix of all these issues, not only one issue.
I was struck by one thing you said. You said many Muslims, most Muslims maybe, feel that people come to us, they don't want to give us the rights of citizens, they just want our vote. We want those rights, we want to become leaders ourselves. Are you saying therefore that Muslims are getting a little disillusioned with non-Muslim parties coming and claiming their vote?
Well, of course it is true, because if you have 14% of Yadavs and they get 36% of tickets, you have 17% of Muslims and they get a lollipop. You have a person who sits beside Tejashwi and says that we are 3.5%. We'll make that. I will be the deputy chief minister. You have various political parties in power who have not done anything to ensure that they don't feel in this way. So yes, these are valid, not questions, but these are valid, genuine reasons for the Muslims to feel in this way. And I have been firmly saying that, now for example, let me answer a question in a more broader way. Now the Gathbandhan has lost. From tomorrow onward, you will see them blaming me because I am the Laila of Indian politics. But do they have the guts to say that after giving 36% Yadava tickets, why did we lose? The Yadavas didn't vote for us. We gave tickets to EBCs, they didn't vote for us. See, this sort of arrogance and completely disregard for the Muslim community, you blame them. Oh, because Owaisi came, boss, Rahul's, Kamal's, that figure, it clearly shows that you lost because you couldn't create a narrative, you couldn't do your campaign, or your communication skill was not up to the mark. There are various reasons of your not doing well, but if you want to blame Owaisi for it, I take it as a badge of honor. Please continue to do it.
I'll tell our viewers a story with your permission, Owaisi Saab. When we traveled to Kishanganj in Seemanchal during this campaign, Mr. Owaisi invited us to his hotel, and like all good touring journalists, that's where we went. And lo and behold, surprise of all surprises, which I found out only after we'd left, Owaisi's neighbor in that hotel was the BJP MP from South Delhi, Ramesh Biduri. So I asked Biduri साहब, अरे आप तो ओवैसी साहब के कमरे के बाजू में हो? He said, हाँ पर मैं मिला नहीं हूँ उनसे, जब से मैं आया वो अपना कर रहे हैं, मैं अपना कर रहा हूँ. You know, when I thought of that, especially Owaisi, I've been itching to ask you since, especially since this A team, B team charge gets flung your way every single time you speak. आपके बगल में ही तो बीजेपी वाले थे, and how was that working out? I know it's a small city, very few hotels, etc. But both Owaisi and the BJP right next to each other. क्या हो रहा है ये?
So Rahul, I told you that we will have to speak slowly. You're asking me many questions. I told him, look boss, you don't know what kind of bugs are there, so be careful. It's a hotel, how can I stop anyone? Everyone has to come and stay there, so what? So, there were, of course, there were Congress leaders also there, which were not there at that point when you had come to meet me, and I'm thankful to you. But, I don't know, I cannot stop people from jumping to conclusions. But yes, we are opposed to the ideology of BJP. We'll continue to oppose them. But tomorrow I have to go and meet Giriraj Kishore because he's a textile minister. I have to take a delegation of Malegaon because the powerloom industry is badly hit by the American tariff. I have to go and meet Kiran Rijiju for some work related to Malegaon. But you mark my words, the moment those photographs come out, you have this gang of so-called secularist torchbearers who will go after me, but I don't give any importance to them, but this is how they work. Unfortunately, that is their mindset, and that is how they are failing in defeating BJP.
Ashok Malik has a question and a comment. Ashok.
So I have a question, Mr. Owaisi. You've been traveling throughout Bihar. How do Muslims in Bihar see Nitish Kumar?
See, Nitish Kumar, 20 years of Nitish Kumar, I am of the opinion that till August or September there was huge anti-incumbency against Nitish Kumar. There was a lot of anger also that Nitish Kumar's MPs have supported in passing the Waqf bill, which is nothing but destroying the Waqf and grabbing all Waqf properties. The fact of the matter is that Nitish Kumar had given 2 or 3 Muslim candidates. They also got some votes. But unfortunately, the claimants who are there to dethrone or remove Nitish Kumar could not carry forward this message. But yes, after the help given by the JDU, there is a lot of upset, there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of letdown that how did Nitish Kumar allow BJP to pass such a legislation which is in my opinion unconstitutional. So this is it.
Okay, we'll leave it there, but I just want to show that data set that Owaisi Saab was speaking about. This is to do with the Yadav seats. He makes the point that why just blame Muslims. There were 126 seats where C-voter estimates in Bihar that the Yadav population is dominant, which has more than 15% population. On those seats, the NDA has a strike rate of 80.2%. So therefore, to blame Asaduddin Owaisi is unfair because the RJD has been bested in its own bastions as well, Veer Sangvi. To make Owaisi the fall guy is the easiest thing to do. The introspection required is much deeper.
Absolutely. And was it, as some people are now saying, a sort of anyone but Yadav Raj sentiment among the other castes? Because they concentrated so much on Yadavs, they have memories of Lalu, where Yadavs got a disproportionate importance. People were scared that would happen, and therefore, even if the Yadavs did vote for them, there was a huge anti-Yadav consolidation which seems to have affected them.
But the young people don't have the memories of Lalu Yadav. And as we were traveling through Bihar, one of the things that we found was that maybe Tejashwi just failed to inspire the young aspirational voter of Bihar because of the fact that he comes from a dynastic political family, his own educational qualifications, his general demeanor. He didn't win the kind of, they looked up to PK, he said, okay, even if they didn't vote for him, they looked up with respect for what he was doing. They didn't have that same kind of respect and regard for Tejashwi. Ajitja.
Yes, I felt that too. For example, when I was speaking to, various Muslim from the diaspora who were returning, so I found more supporters of Mr. Owaisi than Mr. Tejashwi Yadav. And when I asked them, I said, he's after all the son of Lalu Yadav. Most of them told me कि but वो लालू यादव है नहीं, वो लालू यादव के तरह मतलब वही what योगेंद्र pointed out कि वो social coalition खड़ा नहीं कर पाते हैं. The other point that some of them made कि बड़े private है वो लालू जी के तरह सबसे मिलते नहीं हैं. The fact that he's inaccessible, the fact that he doesn't have the same kind of openness with rivals, with colleagues, with the media. I think that was a big point of criticism, and also the fact that when Owaisi ji asked him for 6 seats, he point blankly refused. Now, and looking back, if he would have given those 6 seats, at least the Mahagathbandhan would have an additional 6 seats out here.
At least, maybe more, because symbolically the messaging is stronger. But Veer, is that a fair expectation for the younger politicians? I saw personally when we were in Purnia, 8 o'clock, Tejashwi went into his room, it was bolted, nobody could go in, nobody could speak to him, even his own party people were outside. In Lalu's era, you would remember, people could just walk into his bedroom, walk into where he was from early in the morning till late at night, and that's just the way it was. Tejashwi is cut from a different cloth.
Yeah, I think that's clear, and I think there isn't the sort of identification with him that there should be. Young people should be able to look at him and say, this guy is like me, I want to be like him, he reflects my aspirations. They may like him, they may not dislike him, but no, he's nothing like them. And to an extent, Rahul Gandhi has the same problem because of their background.
Yeah. No, much bigger problem.
Gen Z, typically Gen Z is anti-establishment. Gen Z is defined by, we'll change everything, we'll rebel. Look at it all around our neighbors. Gen Z has toppled governments. Here it's just of giving somebody else a vote. We've had opposition people opposition leaders who are younger. There's really no reason why the Gen Z should not gravitate towards them. But yet, Prime Minister Modi's hold on Gen Z, even though he's in his 70s, and of course Nitish's hold, some of these
No, but it's about who do you respect, who do you look up to, Ashok Malik. The fact is, if you've got somebody who's hardworking, professional, self-made, you'd respect that much more than somebody who got it laid out for him on a silver spoon.
The third example you gave, the third term you use, is the most important in an aspirational country, and a country that is still very unequal, self-made. The fact is, an inheritor starts off with a disadvantage. Even if he works hard, people will say, okay, he's got a core base because of his father, because of his mother. And politics is becoming extremely competitive today, not just in India, in any democracy. If you look at the US president, not just the current president, even previous presidents, the day they come into their first term, they start thinking of re-election. That is how politics is. And if you are an inheritor, frankly, you're simply not that hungry.
That's a very big problem.
Abhishek Bachchan and there's an Alia Bhatt. They're both like dynasts, you can say, and they're seen very differently by the public. Alia Bhatt is one of the top talents of the country. Abhishek tried, but he's now seen as somebody not compared to his father a lot more. So I think you need to, you can, as a dynast too. I mean, you have many in the BJP, like Anurag Thakur, who build their own brands, who people almost forget that their dad was so and so. You have to kind of step out of your dad's shoes, almost change things. But some of the things that Lalu did, maybe Tejashwi should do it differently. Akhilesh, if you remember, when he rose, I remember the first thing he did was had a laptop in his hand. Many years ago, when having a laptop was a kind of a cool thing for a politician to have. So I think some of these things have to be done. You have to take advantage of your dad or whatever, but you have to also come out of the shadow.
And a lot of the opposition narrative in the campaign was actually set by Prashant Kishore. The Prime Minister said the Ganga flows into West Bengal from Bihar. Pointed, targeted attack, Mamata Banerjee, here comes the BJP. There are very few people who understand the mind of the West Bengal Chief Minister in quite the way that Jayanto Ghoshal does. He's joining us on this broadcast. Everyone that Manogya Lohiwal was speaking to at the BJP headquarters automatically and by instinct was saying, Bihar jeet liya, Bengal ki bari. You've been speaking to senior people in the Trinamool Congress. What is Mamata Banerjee and the Trinamool making of the kind of mandate the BJP and the NDA have got in Bihar, Jayanto?
Today I'm in Calcutta, and in Kolkata I went to see the BJP enthusiasm of the BJP workers in the party state headquarters, and they are celebrating the victory of Bihar. And the positive side for state BJP is that there is a depression. Psychologically, they are feeling defeated already because, you know, the 1 crore target for the membership, they have only achieved few lakhs. But today, after this victory, the positive side for the BJP, that after this victory speech of Prime Minister, they are getting some psychological, catalytic boost up. And they can now, they can try to overcome the depression. But what the Mamata Banerjee is thinking, that, you know, there is a major difference between Rahul Gandhi and Mamata Banerjee. There is a major difference between Tejashwi Yadav and Mamata also. And in the midst of this election campaign, you know, they didn't invite Mamata also for election campaign. There is no sense of India. There was no psyche of the alliance. And Tejashwi announced that Rahul Gandhi will be the prime ministerial candidate. Now 2029, that is the Lok Sabha time, and you are announcing prime ministerial candidate without discussing any ally, and Rahul Gandhi is outsourcing everything to Tejashwi, saying that he will be the chief ministerial candidate. And election commission, you know, Mamata Banerjee now told before this, the Bihar, when the Bihar election was there and this SIR was very actively, she was following in Bihar. But, you know, before West Bengal chapter starts with this SIR, she told she held a Netaji Indoor Stadium, their major conference, and said that each and every complaint we will register to the election commission. And now a lot of people, they don't know that Mamata Banerjee is not opposing the SIR now. In the first leg, she was apprehensive, she was opposing, but now she has accepted, she met the election commission guy.
And now, I just whatever would have been the problem later, she's already doling out citizenship. Here, you know, tiger zinda, not only tiger is zinda, wo shikar bhi kar rahi hai, tiger is hunting. So at least in Bengal, we hope there is a tigress. And you hope, you bet there's a tigress. She will fight like a life dependent. And therefore, Rahul, as election day addicts, as election counting day addicts, we hope that
I will take only 2 minutes, because you should know that election commission, the first day in the press conference for the Patna, that day Rahul was missing. Rahul was not there. Rahul was abroad. And Mamata Banerjee, completely in a different way, she is giving importance to the election commission issue and making all the complaints to the EC.
Sure, no, she's fighting. Ashok Malik, even the BJP will readily admit that Mamata Banerjee is a feisty opponent. She's no Rahul Gandhi. She will fight like her life depends on it. And she's incumbent. She's also incumbent. So making those announcements, sending those 10,000 rupees is little different.
And she has a 10% advantage over.
On the likely BJP strategy. We've been discussing Tejashwi, we've been discussing Akhilesh. The fact is, Mamata Banerjee offers a different challenge to Narendra Modi because she's also self-made like him. Of course, he's much bigger. He's a nationwide figure and leader. Yeah. She's limited to her state. I appreciate that. But she's also self-made. She's also a 24/7 very canny politician doing her best to divide the local BJP. Okay, and that's what politicians do, to be fair. They attempt to do such things. So, which is why taking her on with her credibility, with her street fighting persona, with her personal biography, which is as creditable as Mr. Modi's is, of course, as I said, he's a nationwide figure, makes her a very different challenger from Tejashwi or Akhilesh.
It'll be an epic election, a resurgent on the upswing BJP versus the one woman fighting. You know, that's the kind of contest that's really going to be far more interesting than what Tejashwi put up.
But there's also another factor which we are not considering, which is that Bihar considers itself part of the national mainstream. Bengal, in many ways, rejects mainstream parties. When the CPM was in power, I mean, there's nothing really communist about it except for bad governance. But it was a regional regional party, and they respected that. Jyoti Basu is really replaced by Mamata Banerjee, which is again a regional party. Bengalis don't like taking orders from Delhi, and that's what will happen if the BJP wins, and she will play that card.
No, but there is also
Bengal's part of the
building up. It's building up.
Yeah.
It's about finding your Sandesh Khali, it's about finding the RG car rape incident and blowing it up at the right time, which is what the BJP will try and do. They'll find the issue and try and spark it.
I'm sure they will, but they did it last time also and it didn't work.
No, but they went from 3 to 77. You already now reached a base of mid-70s. And the question is, how much further can you go? That time they were coming from a low base of 3.
Agreed.
They still, the BJP still has a 10%
And
disadvantage
Nitish,
over Mamata Banerjee.
more equal-
But the interesting question is, will the Congress dump the left and join Mamata
But
Banerjee?
why would Mamata want?
Why would Mamata want that?
Well,
Want
you
that?
know,
Mamata
given
will
the
give
fact,
them 2 seats.
given the fact that there is a push by the BJP, it would help the if
वो आप
they
बोल
build
रहे हो ना,
an
Mamata
alliance.
liability है. Mamata may think it's a liability. Why would she
But
want that?
Muslim voters are voting for her anyway.
Because so Amitabh Tiwari joins us. Amitabh Tiwari, just spare a moment for all the pollsters who seem to have predicted that this was going to be a tight fight. At the end of the day, if this is what the scoreline reached, 202 versus 35, nobody predicted 202, nobody predicted 35 for the Gathbandhan. I would give the fact that the pollsters got the direction right, but just the direction and missing this massive Sunimo, what went wrong?
Yeah, I would say the pollsters, most of the pollsters got the direction right, but it is very, very difficult to capture any sort of an upswing like this because this is like a tsunami, correct? Even the internal estimates of BJP were in the range of 145 to 151, and even the Home Minister said that the BJP would win 160 seats. So it is very, very difficult to capture any upswing like this. It so happened in Maharashtra also, where the consensus was 165 to 180, but ultimately the Mahayuti alliance went on to win 234 seats, which is like a 3/4 majority. The undercurrent, the silent voters, largely the Muslim Yadav women voters voting for the NDA on account of the rupees 10,000 Mahila Rozgar Yojana, the bipolarity of the election, a section of the youth and the upper caste who were veering towards the Jan Suraj party came back to the NDA when the election became highly bipolar. The decline in the vote share of others, that too going largely to the NDA.
Okay.
These are some of the factors which resulted in such a landslide.
Okay, so you got the opposition counting its losses, the pollsters also looking at what went wrong. I think we've cracked how to do this. Show all the polls, speak to all the pollsters, pick up all that you can, but don't take the onus of any one particular poll because then it sticks on you and becomes...
The vote shares work very close. The vote shares in exit polls are very close.
Nobody predicted 48% vote share for the NDA.
Yeah, maybe.
45.3 for us.
45.3.
But that's 3% more. That's a big, big change.
But it's always hard to predict seats.
No, of course. You have to give. I think you should take polls for what it is.
9%.
Directional. That's kind of what it gives you. It gives you a direction, which is where you should restrict what you expect from how exact they're going to be.
Is that going to be a policy from now on?
Hopefully.
No polls, you just quote other people's?
Let's see. Yeah. Hopefully. I think I'm very big on polling, but I just think people get so and when you get a few right, then everybody gets swayed by their own rhetoric, which is very dangerous. Polling is useful. It helps you pick up insights for sure. But to think that this is exact science, it's not. We'll slip into a break. When we come back, we'll have Chirag Paswan, one of the big players of the Bihar elections. Chirag Paswan will join us. Mukesh Saini from the Vikashsheel Insan Party, one of the key allies. In the end, he didn't prove so key. Of the Gathbandhan will join us. And also Dharmendra Pradhan, one of the architects of the BJP's victory. He was entrenched at the Maurya Hotel in Patna, working the phone lines, getting all the dissidents, the bagis to sit down and not fight against his candidates. Highly effective. His stock in the party after Haryana, now after Bihar, going up substantially. So I'll have Dharmendra ji also with us when we come back with NDTV Election Battleground on the other side of a very quick break. Stay with us.
We earlier spoke to one of his party's young MP, Shambhavi Chaudhary, about Chirag Paswan and the future, of course, the magnitude of this victory and the future for the LJP. Take a look.
Is this way beyond your wildest imagination? Forget the Kante ki takkar. This is as a headline now says, tsunami, because you got a tsunamo, like a Nemo. So tsunamo in Bihar.
See, we were very definite of our victory. Like I said earlier also, that there was no doubt that NDA was winning this election. But of course, we were working very hard on the margin, on the number of seats. And I think the effort has finally paid off. There was a sense of confidence among the NDA leaders, and also the voters were intact. The voters were looking towards a progressive Bihar, were looking towards a government that has advocated for the rights of every Bihari, and definitely the development oriented politics that has emerged in Bihar is the sole reason behind this glorious victory.
Shambhaviji, Ankit has a question for you. Ankit,
I just wanted to ask you, because Chirag Paswan has, your party leader has said that in the next election, most likely his politics would be in Bihar more than that is at the center. Does this set Chirag Paswan on the stage for 2030 as possibly the young top leader of the EBCs as well, if that space is given by Mr. Nitish Kumar by 2030?
I think our national president Chirag Paswan ji had already established himself as a leader after the 2024 Lok Sabha polls, and there was no doubt that he is already an emerging face for Bihar politics. But for 2030, I think we will have to wait and watch. It is solely our leader's decision, and whatever the party decides. Right now, our focus is to deliver on our promises that we've made in the Vidhan Sabha elections and focus on our delivery.
You're watching NDTV Battleground. This is our continuing coverage of Bihar Sunimo, this massive electoral wave that has swept through one of the most keenly contested elections in the state of Bihar. It was meant to be seen as being a keenly contested election, but in the end the tally reached 202 wins for the NDA versus 35 for the Gathbandhan. I'll take you on the leaderboard, and if you've missed the action through the day, give you a sense of where things stand. If you compare with the 2020 Vidhan Sabha elections, look at the swath of sweeping across all of Bihar in the previous election versus now. Lots of green in Bhojpur in the first phase of 2020, replaced now by saffron. 202 wins for the NDA versus 122. Bihar's electoral arithmetic has been rewritten by the chemistry of Nitish Kumar and Narendra Modi. Veer Sanghvi, 20 years of being in power and yet being able to deliver such a historic mandate. It seems the idea of anti-incumbency itself is being turned on its head, with now pro-incumbency coming to the fore.
Yeah, not only do we have pro-incumbency, I think governments have realized they're in a position to offer welfare measures or what you might call freebies like never before, and they're swinging elections. But let's not take away from Nitish's achievement. What's more spectacular is he didn't do anything terribly different in the last term. There's been no new issue in this election apart from his own charisma, his own personality, the sense that people want him. How many politicians can you say that about?
No, also despite his mental, physical health being the way it is, all the questions being asked, he's delivered arguably a very improbable victory given the scale of this historic mandate, Ashok Malik.
Look, I think his voters sat back and said there is some fatigue, there is some sense of sameness, we want some change, badlav as Yogendra put it, and then compare it to what was on offer, that if Nitish goes, who comes, what comes, there is a question mark. And they decided to opt for the tried, tested, yes he's aging but he's tried and tested, we still trust him. And that's
what does this mean, Ajija, as a non-resident Bihari for the future of Bihar politics? This was so much about Nitish and Modi. What does today's verdict reveal, if at all, anything about what may happen 5 years from now?
See, first of all, let's point out the fact that except for 2020, Nitish has performed exceedingly well in all the elections. In 2010, JDU got 115 seats. In fact, Modi ji was not around at that time. It was Sushil Modi who was his partner. So Nitish has always been popular in every election. In 2015, when he went on the other side, he delivered a massive verdict, against the BJP. So that way Nitish has been popular. He's always got pro-incumbency vote. But this particular election, when the opposition painted him as if he's got dementia, he's mentally not sound, and after that such great performance as this election is extraordinary. See, he will have a enduring legacy in Bihar. First 20 years, I think even if Bihar is behind other states in terms of, let's say, economic indicators, but look at the growth rate under Nitish. In this particular year, it's 14%, second highest in the country. For the last 20 years, it's 8 to 10%, which is almost double digit for a state like Bihar, which is so poor. At least in 6 sectors, Nitish has shown extraordinary growth. Sectors like, construction, hospitality, for example, roads. These are the sectors overall growing 32% on an average 8 to 10%. So Nitish has performed.
Is Nitish likely to stay Chief Minister, you think, for 5 years? Ashok Malik, your best sense, will the BJP make him Chief Minister? Could there be a twist? Or are they more likely to want to change a few months or years down the road?
I think he'll begin this 5-year term as Chief Minister. Whether he's still Chief Minister at the end of the 5 years is an open question. I'd like to make one point here. The BJP, if you look at just the BJP, it has won roughly the same number of seats as it won in 2010. Quantitatively, it's the same. Qualitatively, the two elections and the two BJPs are very, very different. That was a BJP riding on Nitish's coattails. It had a limited independent identity. This partnership is much more equitable. We spoke about Bihar seeing itself as part of the national mainstream. Outmigration from Bihar has surged in the past 20 years, in the Nitish period as well, as the economy in India has grown. Remittances now contribute 66% to household income. It was 30% at the beginning of this century. That means the voter is also starting to think beyond regional parties, beyond just Bihar. There is a nuanced interplay between the national political economy and local voter choices. I expect that process will...
Chetan Bhagat, Rahul Gandhi impressed people with his swimming. He went in and he was swimming and they said, "Bada acha swimming karta hai." But that's all that impressed the voters of Bihar in terms of vote share. The Congress now, if I take a look at where the Congress stands at the end of the day, it is the most abysmal situation for a party that at one point in time ran the state. If you look at the top parties, it's basically done terribly, terribly poorly, and that's always going to be a very big problem. He simply hasn't been able to land anything, just at 6 down 13 from the last election.
Yeah, I think, you getting likes on Instagram is not the same as getting votes. Some of the content you put out there may get a lot of engagement. People may actually like it. It may be brilliant content. to, I mean, you have Vladimir Putin who puts on his swimming and all kinds of, so that's all okay. But getting votes is different. I think the BJP, let's admit it, they've cracked the code for winning Indian elections. I think they...
No, but take a look at this. I've got elections going back to 1962. Take a look at this. We've got elections going back to 1962, also back to the time of undivided Bihar. So this includes Jharkhand. But the Congress at that time won 185 seats. Came down to 128 in 67. 196 in 85 was their peak. From there on, 71, 29, 23, 10, 9, 27, 19, 6. This is amongst the worst performances. They've had 4 in 2010, but this Veer Sangvi is amongst the worst performances of the Congress party in the state of Bihar. Just 6 wins in a state where they once had 196 seats.
But if you look at the Congress in Bihar after 1989, which is when VP Singh introduces the Mandal Commission recommendations, it's never really found its feet in that new Mandalized politics in Bihar. It's also, I think, a general truth of the Congress that its organization is not good. Not only is it not a comparator, any kind of match to the BJP, it's pretty bad by any standards. When the Congress wins, it wins on personal charisma, dissatisfaction with the other guy, a big issue. Put against this kind of electoral machine, the one the BJP runs, with Nitish's popularity, it absolutely had no chance. And I said this to you the first day, I think in his own mind, Rahul wrote it off and didn't bother to even campaign properly.
Two things BJP has nailed it. One is, and they were all belonged to the Congress at one point, nationalism. For some reason, Congress is no longer associated with nationalism, BJP is. And poor people, like there was a whole idea that the poor people of India are with the Congress and the BJP is the Vyapariyon ki and rich people's party or whatever, middle class party. Bihar is a poor, Bihar tells you how poor of India think. I don't mean to be demeaning, but the numbers, they're poor.
I want to go across now, live and exclusive on the NDTV election battleground, to one of the key architects of this historic NDA win in the state of Bihar. I requested him for an interview. He said, Rahul Babu, kya karoge interview leke? Now that the BJP has won as big as it has, I requested Dharmendra Pradhan to join us again. This time he agreed. Union HRD Minister, when everyone in Haryana was insisting that the Congress was winning, he said, "Aao baitho, main samjhata hu." Explained for 4-5 minutes how he thought he could upturn the script of Haryana, which is exactly what happened, the anti-Jat coalition that was formed. And in Bihar as well, he said, we've got this comfortably covered, we are winning. Dharmendra Pradhan ji, स्वागत है आपका. छा गए आप, मतलब ऐसे ऐसे आप जीत जिला रहे हैं, हरियाणा हो या बिहार, उम्मीद से बढ़कर जहां आप जाते हैं, आप पार्टी को जीत दिला रहे हैं.
देखो, ये बहुत बड़ी विजय की श्रेय बिहार की जनता की है. हमने जब वहाँ काम किया तब हमको अनुभव हुआ बिहार की जनता की एनडीए के ऊपर पिछले 20 साल से अटूट भरोसा बरकरार है. देश की लोकप्रिय प्रधानमंत्री माननीय नरेंद्र मोदी, बिहार के मुख्यमंत्री नीतीश कुमार जी के प्रति लोगों की भरोसा भी उतना ही बराबर है. इसीलिए हमें स्पष्टता था, बिहार कभी नेगेटिव पॉलिटिक्स नहीं किया है. हमारे प्रतिद्वंदी जिस स्तर तक पहुंचे, जो भाषा का उपयोग किए, जो मुद्दे के साथ खुद को आइडेंटिफाई किए, ये बिहार की विपरीत सेंटिमेंट की थी. इसीलिए ये सारे एक बिहार की विकास के लिए एक बहुत बड़ी ध्रुवीकरण हुआ. बिहार में एक शुभ लक्षण दिखने को मिलता है. तो रिजल्ट अभी तक हाथ में आई है. सर्वदूर सभी डिस्ट्रिक्ट की जो इंफॉर्मेशन मिल रहा है, इसमें से एक प्रमाण मिलता है, बिहार बढ़ चढ़ के विकास के लिए वोट दिया है.
नहीं, पर इतनी उम्मीद तो आपको भी नहीं थी. अमित शाह जी के जब मैंने इंटरव्यू किया एनडीटीवी पावर प्ले के लिए, वो कह रहे थे देखो 160 सीटें आएंगी, 160. ये 160 पे भी 42 आप ऊपर निकल गए.
लेकिन राहुल जी, तब भी मैंने कई मित्रों को कहा था कि बहुत बड़ी विजय की ओर हम बढ़ रहे हैं. बहुत बड़ी विजय आज सामने आ गया है. ये विजय बिहार के एक डिसाइसिव मैंडेट. अब जब किसी को बिहार में आप अपमानित करोगे, आप बिहार के अधिकार को बाहरियों को देने के लिए प्लान किया, आपने जो वोट चोरी की एक झूठी अफवाह फैलाने के लिए, डर फैलाने के काम किया, जिनके मन में फैलाने के काम किया, उन्होंने भी उनके साथ नहीं दिया. कांग्रेस पार्टी और उनकी सहयोगी आरजेडी, यहाँ तो आरजेडी को ज्यादा कांग्रेस के कारण नुकसान हो गया. इनके पास मुद्दा ही नहीं था. झूठ के मुद्दे पे एक भय पैदा करके समाज में तनाव खड़ा करना चाहते थे। इसको डेमोक्रेटिक बिहार ने सरे से रिजेक्ट किया। इसके लक्षण कुछ दिन पहले से ध्यान में आता था, आज उसकी प्रारूप आ गया।
You know, Ashok Malik has a question for you. Dharmendra Pradhan, you're also scripting in some ways electoral history, और जो मेरे एक जहन में सवाल आ रहा है, जो अभी अगला सबसे बड़ा इलेक्शन है वो है कि बीजेपी का अगला अध्यक्ष कौन होगा। आपको लगता है कि कार्यकर्ताओं के बीच में, आपके बाकी मंत्रियों के बीच में, पीयर्स के बीच में इतनी बड़ी जीत दिलाने के बाद इट्स ओनली नेचुरल दैट योर पॉलिटिकल स्टॉक आल्सो गोज अप सब्सटेंशियली?
राहुल जी, आप एक अप्रासंगिक विषय को भी लेके आ रहे हो। अभी तो 200 प्लस जीते, मैं इसे 200 प्लस कह रहा हूं, ये आगे चल के कहां अटकेगा, आने वाले घंटे 1.5 घंटे के अंदर सेटल होगा। बिहार ने एक अनप्रेसिडेंटेड मैंडेट दिया है, विकास के लिए मैंडेट दिया है। अभी अभी देशवासियों को प्रधानमंत्री संबोधित करते हुए कहा, मैं जिम्मेवार लेता हूं, मैं प्रण करता हूं, बिहार को आगे बढ़ाऊंगा, पूर्वोदय होगा। आज हम उसी विषय पर चर्चा में संलग्न है। बिहार की दिन है, आज बिहार की प्रजातंत्र की दिन है, बिहार की गरीब जनता की आकांक्षा पूर्ति करने का अवसर है।
As a true-blooded BJP कार्यकर्ता, he's dodged that question, pretended not to hear it at all, and completely ignored it. I leave it there. But Ashok Malik has a question for you, Dharmendra ji.
धर्मेंद्र जी नमस्कार। अशोक, स्वाभाविक है कि इस विजय के बाद,
अशोक जी,
इस विजय के बाद काफी बीजेपी के कार्यकर्ता और समर्थक बंगाल की ओर देख रहे हैं। उड़ीसा में आपके नेतृत्व में पार्टी जीती थी लोकसभा चुनाव में और विधानसभा चुनाव में आपने काफी काम किया था। बिहार में भी अच्छी विजय हुई है, इसका इम्पैक्ट बंगाल पे क्या होगा?
निश्चित रूप में बंगाल में उसकी प्रभाव पड़ेगा। बंगाल के मुद्दे, अपेक्षा, आकांक्षा समान प्रकार के हैं। बंगाल के नौजवान, बंगाल की सर्व समाज के लोग, बंगाल की महिला आगे बढ़ना चाहते हैं। ये पूर्वोदय की बात जब हम कहते हैं, आज हमारी मजबूत स्थिति बिहार में हो गई, उड़ीसा में हमारी सेवा का अवसर मिल गया, बंगाल में एक प्रमुख पार्टी करके हम इमर्ज कर चुके हैं। बंगाल में जिस प्रकार की सामाजिक स्थिति है, राजनीतिक स्थिति है, और बंगाल के आकांक्षा को पूर्ति ना करने की जो नाकाम कोशिश किया जा रहा है, उसमें एक राजनीतिक कंसोलिडेशन होते हुए हम दिख पा रहे हैं। हम पूरी ताकत लगाएंगे, बंगाल को एक नई ऊंचाई तक फिर ले जाएं, सोनार बंगाल हम बनाएं, ये हमारी दायित्व बनती है। उसमें भारतीय जनता पार्टी एनडीए काम करना शुरू कर देगी।
धर्मेंद्र जी, वीर सांघवी आपसे सवाल करेंगे। वीर,
Dharmendra, just an insight. You've pulled off this amazing, unprecedented victory. Apart from the personalities of Mr. Modi and Nitish Kumar, what are the 2-3 issues that you think made you win?
Veer Sangvi ji, thank you for this very fundamental question. When I started working in Bihar, I could find I know the Bihar social condition. I was since very long, since after 2005, I am involved in the Bihar's political campaigning. We could see it. Bihar is always a dynamic state. It's an aspirational state.
Yeah.
The youth, women and downtrodden Bihar think who can solve their aspiration, who can fulfill their aspiration. They repose their faith on NDA. They have their trust in Prime Minister Modi and Chief Minister Nitish Kumar. They don't get into trapped with the negative campaigning of opposition. Opposition doesn't have any issue. They have created frivolous issues. They have created a fear psychosis among the citizens of Bihar. They have rejected that politics. They have accepted and trust the words of Prime Minister Modi and NDA's policy. And Prime Minister Modi, since long, is envisioning one thing: there should be Purvodaya. Unless until Purvodaya will be there, India cannot grow. India cannot be developed India, because it Bharat संभव ही नहीं हो सकता है. Again, I will say in a sum up, people, aspirational society of Bihar has reposed their faith on NDA and Prime Minister Modi and Nitish Kumar ji.
Can I just use your indulgence and ask you one offbeat question? Many people, when they talked about Nitish Kumar, they said he's been there for so long, hardly any chief minister has lasted for so long. And the parallel that was often used was Naveen Patnaik. And they said he's been there for very long, but you know, even he was defeated eventually. Nitish will face the same fate. What is the difference? How come Nitish did not face that fate? You know why I'm asking you this?
Because one simple thing, this is an NDA government.
You can expand on that.
I think he's explained it. नहीं, वहां धर्मेंद्र प्रधान नहीं थे और वहां पांड्यन भी नहीं थे. ये दोनों वजह है कि वहां पे इस तरह से हाल नहीं हुआ. यही है ना जवाब धर्मेंद्र जी? मुस्कुरा रहे हैं अब आप.
नहीं, ऐसा नहीं. मैं आपको इस विषय को, आपने मेरे को पहले भी चर्चा किया है, ये विषय ऐसा नहीं. यहाँ एनडीए है, यहाँ प्राइम मिनिस्टर मोदी और नीतीश कुमार जी की ट्रस्टवर्दीनेस था और वहाँ काम हुआ है. यहाँ बिहार सरकार ने पिछले 20 साल में, भारत सरकार और राज्य सरकार दोनों मिलके, अब गंगा जी में अनेकों पुल बनी है, रास्ता बनी है, महिलाओं की सेवा की गई, स्वास्थ्य सेवा की गई है, मखाना की नई दुनिया बनी है, एथेनॉल की नई दुनिया बनी है. अनेकों कॉन्क्रीट डिलीवरेबल्स आज बिहार की जिलों में है. और जो आश्वस्त किया, जो एश्योरेंस दिया गया है, जो रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी लिया गया है, उड़ीसा की केस अलग था.
अजीत झा आपसे सवाल करेंगे. अजीत.
धर्मेंद्र जी नमस्कार. 2010 में आप बीजेपी के इंचार्ज थे उस चुनाव में जिसमें कि हिस्टोरिक मैंडेट आया था 206, आज से भी ज्यादा अच्छा. आज दोबारा आपको लाया गया करीब करीब 15 साल बाद और आपने दोबारा रिपीट किया. पर एक अंतर है, उस समय जदयू को 115 मिला था, इस बार जो है बीजेपी आगे है. तो मतलब ये क्या मोदी जी के कारण या धर्मेंद्र प्रधान जी के कारण, क्या कारण है कि भाजपा जो है इतना बढ़िया
एनडीए के कारण? अजय जी ये एक तो बात पक्की है कि धर्मेंद्र प्रधान कारण नहीं है. ये बिहार की विक्ट्री, इसको ऐसे छोटा नहीं करनी चाहिए. मैं फिर दोहराऊंगा, प्रधानमंत्री जी की स्पष्टता, नेतृत्व और मुख्यमंत्री जी के साथ, नीतीश कुमार जी के साथ और एनडीए की एकजुटता, एनडीए के सारे घटक दलों की पार्टिसिपेशन, हमारी कैंपेनिंग, हमारी इश्यूज को प्रायोरिटाइज करना, हमने कॉन्फिडेंस दिला पाए कि हमने 20 साल से एक सोशल कोalition चला रहे हैं, अच्छा चल रहा है, हमने काम किया आपके लिए, आप उसको दोबारा चुनिए. ये सारे फैक्टर इस बार चुनाव में बड़ी विजय के कारण बने.
चेतन भगत आपसे पॉइंट भी बनाना चाहते हैं, एक सवाल भी पूछना चाहते हैं. चेतन जी नहीं, आपने कहा कि ऐसे, अब आपका बंगाल में आपको क्या लगता है क्या होगा बीजेपी का? आपको लगता है कि इतनी बड़ी जीत आएगी या नहीं आएगी? और यू थिंक ममता दी एक अलग, ममता जी को आप कैसे देखते हैं कंपेयर टू तेजस्वी?
देखिए बंगाल की क्या हालत है, आज भारत की कोई भी पॉलिटिकल एनालिसिस, कोई भी सामाजिक समीक्षा, राजनीतिक समीक्षक उसको देख पा रहा है. बंगाल की हालत अच्छी नहीं है. बंगाल की जनता सत्ता परिवर्तन करना चाहती है. भारतीय जनता पार्टी बंगाल की मजबूत विकल्प बन चुकी है. हम अपने राजनीतिक अभियान उस दिशा पे ले जा रहे हैं. इस बार बंगाल की जनता भारतीय जनता पार्टी के नेतृत्व में सरकार नहीं बनाएगी, ये मैं जिम्मेवारी के साथ, दृढ़ता के साथ कह रहा हूं.
और आपके विक्ट्री मार्जिन, आई नो अभी बहुत टाइम है, पर इतनी बड़ी जीत भी हो सकती है या फाइट होगी वहां?
क्योंकि वहां पर तो ममता बनर्जी आपसे 10% आगे है.
विजय होता है.
हाँ नहीं, वो तो है, पर फिर भी स्कोर तो देखते हैं ना क्रिकेट में.
विजय होता है.
No, but धर्मेंद्र जी, one of the things that
जब मैच हो जाएगा तब देखेंगे ना.
अब आप आ रहे हैं फॉर्म में बंगाल को लेके भी. One of the insights that we picked up from the NDTV leaderboard was that even in the Muslim Yadav dominated seats, so seats where Muslims and Yadavs were in concentration in high numbers, the NDA has done extremely well. What do you attribute that to? Is it because of a counter consolidation, or do you think this is on account of the fact that a part of the Yadavs have also, much more than in previous elections, moved over and come to your side?
Rahulji, I will remind you one thing. When we fought UP election, there was an assumption in Western UP we will not be doing well because due to some difficult geography, population factor. But after the election result, every myth has been shattered. So this time, I will appreciate, I will praise, I will give my opinion. The aspirational society of Bihar has demolished all kind of myth, caste, social status, or any kind of thing. People of Bihar has voted for development, voted for who can fulfill their aspiration, who can ease their living. On this issue, this is a brighter thing of the Indian democracy. Indian democracy is getting mature day by day. We should all appreciate and praise the new approach of Bihar. As rightly Prime Minister said few minutes ago, henceforth there will be new Bihar.
नहीं, पर ये जो ऑपोजिशन आरोप लगा रहा है कि आपने 10,000 रुपए दिए, इस वजह से वो महिलाओं ने आपके लिए वोट दिए, that this election was won by that 10,000 rupees, that the EC was unfair, it wasn't a level playing field, the EC should have stopped the transfer of the 10,000 rupees, it was an unequal playing field. These are the principal charges that Rahul Gandhi and the opposition are leveling. इस पर आप कैसे जवाब देते हैं? ये आरोप कि 10,000 रुपए देने से महिलाओं में जो एंटी इनकम्बेंसी बिल्ड हो रही थी उसको आपने काउंटर कर दिया.
ये केवल महिलाओं ने नहीं, महिलाओं ने तो बढ़ चढ़ के पूरा चट्टानों की तरफ एनडीए के साथ खड़े रहे. देखिए, ये अनायास नहीं हुआ है, ये 20 साल की मेहनत है. आज लक्ष्यपति दीदी हम चुनाव के दिनों में नहीं लाए थे, हम पिछले कई सालों से इसको चला रहे हैं. भारत सरकार की ओर से, राज्य सरकार की ओर से हमने जो काम किया है, ये काम के ऊपर वोट हुई है. ये सारा विषय अपोजिशन ने चुनाव के दौरान उठाया था, वोट चोरी का मुद्दा भी उठाया था, अनावश्यक डर भय पैदा करने का भी कोशिश किया था. ये सारा विषय को बिहार की जनता ने रिजेक्ट किया है, अच्छे नंबर पर रिजेक्ट किया है.
Okay, we'll leave it over there. You've had a long day. We'll leave you to your celebrations. ऐसा कोई आप इतने सीरियस और मतलब फोकस रहते हैं अपने काम पे, आप सेलिब्रेट कैसे करेंगे? I'm very curious. Given that you've landed this big victory, you've been so involved in this organization of this campaign, how does Dharmendra Pradhan celebrate?
मैं आपसे बात कर लिया, इतने सारे मेरे मित्रों को मैंने मिलने का अवसर दे दिया, मेरा सेलिब्रेशन हो गया. नमस्कार.
अच्छा,
That is why he is politician and we are not.
नहीं, बट जो दूसरा सवाल मैंने पूछा कि बीजेपी का अगला अध्यक्ष कौन था, उन्होंने पूरा सवाल सुना, समझा, लेकिन जवाब ऐसे दिया कि उन्होंने सुना ही नहीं. मतलब ये तो कोई सवाल ही नहीं है, छोड़िए, अगले कुछ दिनों में साफ हो जाएगा. बट विद इन हिज peers, you can't take away the fact, Ashok Malik, and you understand the BJP's pulse. His stock has gone up immensely. Haryana, he fought from the back, led that campaign, very understated during the campaign and very effective.
I would only say two things. He spoke about Purvodaya, he spoke about, well, Odisha, Bihar and possibly Bengal someday. The BJP has never had a president from Eastern India.
Ah, interesting. Never had a president from Eastern India. And also amongst the next gen, he's done enough to I mean, if nobody has any clue about what Messrs Modi and Shah will do, largely Prime Minister Modi, but he's also proven his worth, as it were, Veer Sangvi, and they're building up systematically a second rung.
He's low profile, he doesn't seek personal publicity, he's very much their kind of guy.
There are few others.
But if a name is thrown in the media, he almost never becomes.
इसलिए तो सवाल का जवाब ही नहीं दिया ना उन्होंने बोला इस पे तो पढ़ना ही नहीं है बिल्कुल भी. They quickly dodge that question.
Let's not ruin someone's chances. But yes,
but ultimately जो decide होगा वो उन्हीं को करना है. Who knows?
But it will be well thought of, and it will not be just like someone's due or someone's senior now. इसकी बारी आ गई. It will be something that gives some electoral political gain.
No, and Ashok Malik, it also needs to be someone who can hold the party together. You can't, I mean, at least in my understanding of the way things are at the moment, you can't pluck an unknown and make him make him party president. He needs to be able to hold the party and have the trust and the credibility of the cadre.
What we've seen in the Modi era especially, it's somebody who has been a booth level worker, started off that way, run elections in states. So there are a few candidates. Of course, Dharmendra Pradhan is a very strong contender among them. But
Veer Sangvi, what do you think this means for the 2029 elections? You know, given the state of play, many people are watching will say, boss, is 2029 a done deal?
Nothing is a done deal in politics, Rahul. Nobody thought this was a done deal, as who said, Ovaisis said, there was a lot of anti-incumbent feeling against Nitish, which evaporated, which went. So nothing is ever clear. The last general election we thought was a done deal, and it very nearly wasn't. But I will say that the sense that the Modi era was ending at the last general election, that it was downhill from now, that's been reversed. It's far from downhill.
But I think opposition still somewhat believes. They somewhat believe that the people of India don't want the NDA, and that there is some manipulation going on.
They were thinking the same about
and I think that it's fine you do it for publicity, but if you actually start believing that actually we are bound to win, it's our turn now to win.
No, Rahul Gandhi thinks it's just a matter of time, Ashok.
Just a matter of time.
Let's look at, I don't know what's going to happen 4 years down the line, that's far away. Let's look at the near term. Let's look at a counterfactual. if the BJP and the JDU, the NDA, had done badly in this election, won very narrowly or not won a majority or lost. If that had happened, national politics would have turned turbulent. And it would have been turbulent for a year and a half till UP. And then depending on what happened in UP, you would have had another sort of reset. Now, for the next 1.5 years, things will be, unless something untoward happens, it will be stable. And the BJP will approach UP with a spring in its step. So, at least for the 1.5 years that follow from here to UP, I think there's certain stability in the polity. There's a certain policy continuity and political stability, which is important.
We earlier spoke to one of his party's young MP, Shambhavi Chaudhary, about Chirag Paswan and the future, of course, the magnitude of this victory and the future for the LJP. Take a look.
Is this way beyond your wildest imagination? Forget the Kante ki takkar. This is as a headline now says, tsunami, because you got a tsunamo, like a Nemo. So tsunamo in Bihar.
See, we were very definite of our victory. Like I said earlier also, that there was no doubt that NDA was winning this election. But of course, we were working very hard on the margin, on the number of seats. And I think the effort has finally paid off. There was a sense of confidence among the NDA leaders, and also the voters were intact. The voters were looking towards a progressive Bihar, were looking towards a government that has advocated for the rights of every Bihari, and definitely the development-oriented politics that has emerged in Bihar is the sole reason behind this glorious victory.
Shambhaviji, Ankit has a question for you. Ankit.
I just wanted to ask you, because Chirag Paswan has, your party leader has said that in the next election, most likely his politics would be in Bihar more than that is at the center. Does this set Chirag Paswan on the stage for 2030 as possibly the young top leader of the EBCs as well, if that space is given by Mr. Nitish Kumar by 2030?
I think our national president Chirag Paswan ji had already established himself as a leader after the 2024 Lok Sabha polls, and there was no doubt that he is already an emerging face for Bihar politics. But for 2030, I think we will have to wait and watch. It is solely our leader's decision, and whatever the party decides. Right now, our focus is to deliver on our promises that we've made in the Vidhan Sabha elections and focus on our delivery.
So what I want to do now is show our viewers, and Rahul Gandhi has tweeted, this is the first time we are hearing from him. Tehseen Poonawalla and others were asking, and Amit Malviya has been asking again and again, where is Rahul Gandhi? So this is his first reaction since this. I'll take you through what Rahul Gandhi is saying. On your screen right now, Rahul Gandhi says, I express my heartfelt gratitude to those millions of voters in Bihar who expressed their trust in the Mahagathbandhan. The result is truly surprising. We could not achieve victory in an election that was not fair from the beginning. This is a fight for the protection of constitution and democracy. The Congress and the India Alliance will deeply review this result and make efforts to save democracy even more effective. So he's again not accepting that this is a defeat. You lose, but you want to say that there's something amiss about the electoral process.
Certain fan club,
even if you believe some conspiracy theory, on the margins, when there's a 500, 1000 vote difference, the local administration can make such a difference. When the difference is night and day, you can't cheat this election.
Now, I personally agree with you, but look at it from Rahul Gandhi's point of view. His position for the last couple of years has been that the reason Modi keeps winning, the reason the BJP keeps winning is because they rigged the election in different ways. The attack on the election commission and the voter rolls is merely the latest. Before that, they were talking about EVMs and how they'd been manipulated. Given that, when such a result comes and it's unprecedented and unexpected, politically he can't really say I gracefully accept the views of the people. He has to say it's because of what I warned you about.
No, but he says we'll deeply review, we'll change the party, and then Chetan Bhagat, nothing happens. He said the same thing when AAP won in Delhi. I'll change the Congress in such fundamental ways that
in fact, he got Prashant Kishore. And Prashant Kishore wanted to be part of this empowerment committee. You remember that whole era when...
But nothing came of it.
Nothing comes of it.
If they'd worked as hard as Prashant Kishore did, maybe the opposition would have had a better chance.
Yeah, and maybe the change is with you, right? I mean, you need to... Like, what if you want to change things, but the person who needs to be changed is you?
The Prime Minister said in his speech that there is a certain section in the Congress that's getting uneasy, increasingly uneasy about the way in which the Congress is being run, and that there may be a split in the party soon. While he's fishing in troubled waters, do you think that's at all likely?
I don't think so, Rahul. I mean, the last time we had a serious split was when Sangma, Sharad Pawar and the others walked out blaming Sonia Gandhi. Nothing really came of it. There was another split against Narasimha Rao with ND Tiwari, Arjun Singh and co walking out. Nothing really came of it. The Congress seems wedded to the Gandhi family. There may be splits, but I don't think it will damage their position.
Okay. I want to thank our guests for joining us. They've been here since early in the morning. We said, I don't remember the last time anybody made me work at 8 a.m. Never. No, that can't be. Never can't be.
Not for many
Not
years.
for a very long time.
Not for at least a decade.
Okay, great. But we're glad that you were here. Chetan Bhagat.
Thanks for the opportunity. I think this, like I said, we are election day addicts. And
we are non-stop political and election addicts, not just election day.
Yeah. So we will be actually very disappointed if one nation, one election comes, because we will not get our hits.
I think there are many in the BJP also who won't know what to do for the rest of the 4 years, given how much they love fighting elections. But that's a matter for another day. Thank you very much, Ashok Malik.
Thank you, Rahul. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Veer Sanghvi, for being here.
Can I just say what a pleasure it's been to be on this show and how well you've moderated.
That's very sweet of you. Thank you. I'm not sure about that, but I'm very glad that you've been a part of this coverage, and we've had so many different voices, from the likes of Ovaisis to Dharmendra Pradhan, and I'm going to leave you now with Chirag Paswan and then Mukesh Saini from the Vikashsheel Insan Party. The joy of Indian democracy is that there's so many shades of opinion. What we've tried to do on NDTV is capture all the shades of the Indian Democratic Festival, bring them alive, bring them together on this one platform. Here is Chirag Paswan celebrating his victory, talking about his phenomenal performances, and also dodging my question on how his mum now wants him to get married. Chirag Paswan of the Lok Jan Shakti Party speaking exclusively to NDTV.
वक्त पर सही फैसला बिहार की जनता ने लिया। मेरे प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी को इसका श्रेय जाता है। उन्होंने जिस सोच के साथ इस पूरे अलायंस को उन्होंने लीड करने का काम किया, मुख्यमंत्री जी को जाता है। उनके अनुभव ने नेतृत्व क्षमता दी इस अलायंस को आगे बढ़ने की। मैं बिहार फर्स्ट, बिहारी फर्स्ट को भी इसका श्रेय दूंगा कि लोगों ने उस पर भी विश्वास किया। एंड आई थिंक एज अ होल इट वाज अ वेरी प्रोग्रेसिव, विकास की बात करने वाला, एक पॉजिटिव सोच रखने वाला ये गठबंधन था जिसको जनता ने स्वीकारा, कंपेयर टू एन अलायंस महागठबंधन जो कि एरोगेंस और एक दूसरे के साथ भीतरघात करने की सोच के साथ आगे बढ़ रहा था।
अच्छा, मैं शंभवी चौधरी से पूछ रहा था कि एलजेपी में पार्टी कैसे होती है इतनी बड़ी जीत के बाद, तो उन्होंने जवाब दिया कि जो चिराग भैया बोले वैसे ही हमारी पार्टी होती है। तो चिराग भैया, कैसे होती है भाई एलजेपी वालों की पार्टी?
फिलहाल तो सिर्फ एक ही पार्टी है भाई मेरे जीवन में, दैट इज लोक जनशक्ति पार्टी रामविलास। अपने पिता के सपनों को पूरा करने के लिए अभी बहुत लंबा रास्ता मुझे तय करना है। तो मैं मानता हूं कि फिलहाल मुझे संतोष और खुशी इस बात की है कि पापा जहां कहीं होंगे, ही विल बी वेरी हैप्पी एंड वेरी प्राउड।
नहीं, अगर स्ट्राइक रेट की बात की जाए तो आप लोगों ने तो इस दफा कमाल ही कर दिया। ये जो फाइट हो रही थी कि अगला युवा बिहारी नेता कौन होगा, अगर हम उसकी तुलना करते हैं तो आपने तो तेजस्वी की पार्टी का ऑलमोस्ट सुपड़ा साफ ही कर दिया। केवल 17% उनके कैंडिडेट जीते, कांग्रेस के केवल 10% कैंडिडेट जीते, उससे ज्यादा तो ओवैसी के 18% कैंडिडेट जीत गए। इतना बुरा हाल क्यों और कैसे हुआ राहुल और तेजस्वी का आपके हिसाब से?
राहुल भाई ये बात ना पता कोई समझ ही नहीं पा रहा था, एंड विच आई वाज सेइंग रिपीटेडली इन ऑल माय इंटरव्यूज कि 2020 में जब ये कहा जाता है कि चिराग पासवान की वजह से जनता दल यूनाइटेड को इतना नुकसान हुआ, तो उसका लाभ किसको हुआ था? उसका उन परिस्थिति का लाभ राजद ने उठाया। राजद ने कोई अपनी वजह से या कुछ अपनी काबिलियत से उन्होंने ये संख्या नहीं हासिल की थी 2020 में भी। वो तो परिस्थिति ऐसी बनी थी कि देयर वाज अ डिवाइडेड एनडीए, जिसका लाभ परिस्थितियों का उठाने का काम उस वक्त राजद ने किया था। नहीं तो मैंने ऑन रिकॉर्ड आई हैव सेड दिस सो मेनी टाइम्स कि अगर पिछली बार भी यूनाइटेड एनडीए होता, अगर साथ मिलकर चुनाव लड़ रहे होते, जनता दल यूनाइटेड और भारतीय जनता पार्टी और लोक जनशक्ति पार्टी, तो 2020 में भी ये लोग 25 सीटें भी नहीं पार कर पाते। दिस इज समथिंग दैट आई हैव सेड ऑन रिकॉर्ड इन माय प्रीवियस इंटरव्यूज आफ्टर 2020 रिजल्ट। तो मैं ये मानता हूं कि ये जो अहंकार इनमें आ गया था कि इनके दम पर है, इनके दम पर ना ये 2015 जीते, उस वक्त भी मुख्यमंत्री नीतीश कुमार जी का साथ इनको मिला, तब ये लोग इतने विधायक जीत पाए। और लास्ट टाइम बिकॉज ऑफ अ डिवाइडेड एनडीए, क्योंकि मैं अकेले चुनाव लड़ा तो उसका लाभ इन्होंने लिया, और इसीलिए
इस दफा चुनावी नतीजों का गणित कुछ ऐसा है कि अगर आप चाहें इस कार्यक्रम पे पेशकश करना कि आइए बीजेपी वाले हम लोग मिल के चुनाव में सरकार बना सकते हैं, तो आपको एक्चुअली जेडीयू की जरूरत है नहीं। 84 सीटें जेडीयू की है, अगर हम 89, 19, 5 और 4 ले लेते तो 120 पे आप पहुंच जाते। अदर्स को आप जोड़ लें तो आप लोग मिलकर ही बना सकते हैं नीतीश जी के बगैर। तो आपकी तरफ से कोई ऐसी पेशकश है बीजेपी को?
नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं राहुल भाई। देखिए, मैंने खुद हमेशा
आपकी मुस्कुराहट क्या संकेत दे रही है?
भूमिका दी है, तो मैं मानता हूं कि नहीं, बिल्कुल भी नहीं। क्यों नहीं? मैं इसलिए मैं मुस्कुरा रहा हूं बिकॉज ये ऐसी सोच हम लोग के जहन में भी नहीं आती। बट अगर आपने इसको सामने रखा तो मैं इसका सीरियसली जवाब दे दूं कि मैं अपने आप को हमेशा गठबंधन में नमक की भूमिका में मैं मानता हूं। तो मैं मानता हूं कि हर छोटे से छोटी चीज का कितना महत्व होता है, एंड आई थिंक एक एक करके बूंद बूंद से सागर बनता है। तो मैं मानता हूं कि अगर हम पांचों में से किसी एक को भी आप गठबंधन से बाहर कर दीजिए या हल्का मानने में आ जाइए, तो शायद ये परिणाम नहीं होता जो आज है। तो हर किसी की अपनी अहम भूमिका है, और उस भूमिका का सम्मान चुनाव के दौरान भी था और चुनाव के बाद भी रहेगी।
क्या चिराग पासवान डिप्टी सीएम जैसा पद ले सकते हैं नीतीश कुमार के अंडर में?
नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं। मैं मानता हूं कि इसका हकदार कोई मेरा पार्टी का कार्यकर्ता ही होगा। जो भी जिम्मेदारियां मिलेंगी मंत्रिमंडल में, वो मेरे पार्टी के कार्यकर्ताओं को ही जाएंगी।
डिप्टी सीएम की उम्मीद लगाए बैठे हैं। सुमित के सवाल से आप किनारे हो गए।
मैं केंद्र में प्रधानमंत्री जी के अंतर्गत एक बड़ी जिम्मेदारी पहले ही निभा रहा हूं।
आपकी पार्टी क्या डिप्टी सीएमशिप चाहेगी? आप भले मत बनिए।
सुमित भाई, मैं ये मानता हूं कि ये गठबंधन के भीतर करने वाली बातें, और मैंने हमेशा गठबंधन की मर्यादा को बरकरार रखा।
नहीं, ऐसा कुछ नहीं। हमने देख लिया आप कितने, ऐसा लगता है कि आप हार्वर्ड बिजनेस स्कूल में ही निगोशिएशन सीख के आए हैं।
तब बाहर
आप निगोशिएट तो बड़ा जबरदस्त करते हैं, वो तो हमने देख लिया। हाँ, एक और हमारे चुनावी पंडित सवाल पूछना चाहते हैं। शुरुआत करते हैं सतीश के सिंह से। पूछिए सतीश जी।
चिराग जी, बहुत बहुत बधाई। मैं बस सच की अपेक्षा करता हूँ, सच की अपेक्षा करता हूँ। थोड़ा खुलिए जी। ये हमें भी थोड़ा बड़ा ही एक अजीब सी घटना हुई जब एकाएक अनअनाउंस्ड नीतीश कुमार जी आपके निवास पर छठ के खरने में पहुंच गए। क्या बात हुई थी उस दिन? कुछ खुलिएगा क्या?
बिल्कुल पूछने वाला था।
कुछ खोलिए।
उन कयासों को विराम लगाने के लिए, क्योंकि इस दौरान, चुनाव के दौरान बहुत ऐसे भ्रम फैलाए गए कि जनता दल यूनाइटेड लोजपा में तालमेल नहीं है, इनके कैडर्स एक दूसरे का साथ नहीं दे रहे, भीतर घात चल रहा है, ये उनको हरा रहे हैं, वो उनको हरा रहे हैं। पर मुझे लगता है कि मुख्यमंत्री जी का उस दिन खरना का प्रसाद ग्रहण करने घर पर आना, मुझे लगता है कि काफी ऐसे भ्रमों को अंकुश लगाने का उनके इन तस्वीरों ने काम किया। बट मेरे लिए उससे ज्यादा मायने ये रखता है कि मुझसे बड़े हैं, हमारे गठबंधन का नेतृत्व कर रहे हैं। वो आए, आकर उन्होंने मुझे आशीर्वाद दिया। अभी मैंने कुछ समय पहले मेरी उनसे फोन पे बातचीत होकर एक दूसरे को हम लोगों ने बधाई दी, और उसमें संकेत बस इतना ही था कि हम लोग हैंड एंड ग्लव्स की तरह हम लोग कार्य कर रहे थे। मुख्यमंत्री जी ने, मैंने, हम सब ने मिलकर इस बात का हर संभव ईमानदार प्रयास किया कि हमारे एक आने से गठबंधन को जितनी ताकत मिल सकती है मिले, 2020 की परछाई कम से कम 2025 पे ना पड़े, ये प्रयास किया गया था।
अजीत झा अगला सवाल आपसे करेंगे। अजीत जी। बहुत अच्छा।
चिराग जी नमस्कार, अजीत कुमार झा बोल रहा हूं। मैं भी आपसे पहले यही सवाल पूछना चाह रहा था।
जी जी।
ये जो खड़ना डिप्लोमेसी हुआ, नीतीश जी आए, आपकी माँ वहां पर थी, सब एक दूसरे से मिले और बातचीत हुई। अभी तक आपने बताया नहीं क्या बातचीत हुई उस दिन। और दूसरी बात, ट्रांसफर ऑफ वोट्स, आप जो है इस मामले में माहिर है, अपना वोट ट्रांसफर कर देते हैं। क्या दूसरा वोट भी आपको मिला? मतलब जदयू का वोट भी मिला, तभी तो आप लगता है इतने सारे सीट जीते हैं। क्या वो खड़ना डिप्लोमेसी में यही बात हुई थी, ट्रांसफर ऑफ वोट्स का?
वेल, मैं खरना मैं मानूंगा छठ महापर्व का हम सब बहुत सम्मान करते हैं और हमारे लिए सबसे महत्वपूर्ण महापर्वों में से छठ का महापर्व है। तो ऐसे में जहाँ एक तरफ छठी मैया का आशीर्वाद मिला तो अपने आप परिस्थितियां इतनी सहज होती गई। जैसा मैंने कहा कि कई तरीके के भ्रम फैलाए जा रहे थे मेरे मुख्यमंत्री जी के रिश्ते को लेकर, उनका आना, इतनी सहजता से आना, मेरे पूरे परिवार से मुलाकात करना, खन्ना का प्रसाद ग्रहण करना, मैं मानता हूं कि उसने कहीं ना कहीं इन सारे र्यूमर्स को एक पूर्ण विराम देने का काम किया। तो मैं ये मानूंगा कि ऐसी कोई डिप्लोमेसी सोची समझी नहीं थी। छठी मैया का आशीर्वाद के तौर पर मुझे लगता है ऑटोमेटिकली ये सारी परिस्थितियां बनती गई। मैं मानता हूं जहां एक तरफ मेरा पूरा कैडर ट्रांसफर हुआ है गठबंधन के हर एक घटक दल को, तो वहीं सबका साथ हम लोगों को भी मिला है। जनता दल यूनाइटेड के भी कैडर ने उतनी ही ईमानदारी से तमाम बातों को आगे पीछे करते हुए 2025 को मद्देनजर रखते हुए अपने मताधिकार का इस्तेमाल किया। एंड इज द रीजन वाई कि हम लोगों का गठबंधन पार्टी ने इतना बेहतरीन प्रदर्शन किया।
विजय त्रिवेदी आपसे अगला सवाल करेंगे। चिराग जी बहुत बधाई, विजय त्रिवेदी बोल रहा हूं। आपने स्लोगन दिया था बिहार फर्स्ट और बिहारी फर्स्ट, पर आपने कहा था कि मैं बिहार का ध्यान रखना चाहता हूं। और मुझे लगता है कि लोगों ने शायद इसीलिए 18 गुना सीट बढ़ाकर, शायद किसी भी गठबंधन पार्टी को इतना बड़ा जंप नहीं मिला है जो 1 से 19 पर पहुंच जाए। और आपके लिए शायद उन्होंने सोचा होगा एक युवा मजबूत चेहरा बिहार की सेवा के लिए आएगा तो उन्हें मजबूती दे। अब आज आप पटना की बजाय दिल्ली में रहना चाहते हैं, तो ये उन लोगों का मान होगा या सम्मान होगा जिन्होंने इस उम्मीद के साथ कि एक युवा चेहरा मेरे पटना की, मेरे बिहार की सेवा के लिए खड़ा होगा।
विजय जी, पहली बात तो मैं मानता हूं कि जब तक ये रिजल्ट्स पूरी तरीके से मैच्योर होंगे तो मैं मानता हूं कि ये गुना जो आपने 18 बोला है ये अभी और बढ़ेगा, बिकॉज कुछ और ऐसी सीटें जो कि अभी काउंटिंग जिस पे चली रही है तो मैं मानता हूं कि वो भी हम लोग के खाते में आएंगी और जुड़ेंगी। हैविंग सेड दैट, ये बात शुरू से हम लोगों ने स्पष्ट रखी थी कि ये चुनाव मुख्यमंत्री नीतीश कुमार जी के नेतृत्व में ही लड़ा जाएगा। मेरी तरफ से तो ये भी क्लियर था कि चुनाव के बाद वही एक बार फिर से मुख्यमंत्री बनेंगे भी, और मैं मानता हूं कि बहुत जल्द एक बार फिर से वो मुख्यमंत्री पद की वो शपथ लेंगे। अपनी भूमिका को मैं समझता हूं। इसी चुनाव में मैं बिहार आके विधानसभा का चुनाव लड़ना चाहता था, किसी कारणवश नहीं लड़ पाया, पर 2030 में ये बात तय है। अनलाइक माय फादर, आप उनको भी बहुत करीबी से आप जानते थे विजय जी, बट अनलाइक हिम जो केंद्र की राजनीति में अपने आप को ज्यादा देखते थे, मैं बिहार की राजनीति में अपने आप को ज्यादा देखता हूं और मैं मानता हूं कि 2030 आते आते पूर्णतः बिहार में अपने आप को समर्पित करके बिहार विधानसभा के चुनाव में एक सक्रिय भूमिका निभाऊंगा। एंड तो ये 7, बट हाँ, बिहार फर्स्ट, बिहारी फर्स्ट सोच को धरातल पर उतारने के लिए सक्रिय भूमिका मेरी इन 5 सालों में भी जरूर रहेगी।
ये एनडीटीवी के इलेक्शन गुरु डैशबोर्ड पे मैं दिखा देता हूं दर्शकों को कि जो 44 सीटें हैं जिनको सी वोटर ने आइडेंटिफाई किया पासवान डोमिनेटेड, यानी कम से कम 15% पासवान जाति के यहाँ पे वोट है, उनमें से 40 सीटों पे एनडीए की जीत हुई है, यानी कि 91% का स्ट्राइक रेट है एनडीए का उन सीटों पर जहां पर पासवान कम्युनिटी बड़ी तादाद में बिहार में मौजूद है। तो ये 91% तो बहुत जबरदस्त स्ट्राइक रेट है। दूसरी बात ये चिराग भाई, जब आपके घर आए थे पिछली दफा, आपकी माताजी वहां पे थी और जैसे ही इंटरव्यू आपसे खत्म हुआ, आपको याद होगा आपकी माता ने कहा कि भाई इनकी शादी करा दीजिए। तो इतनी बड़ी जीत के बाद आपको लग रहा है एक तरीके से कॉन्टेक्स्ट सेट हो गया, क्योंकि जैसे ही उनकी मम्मी ने बोला, इन्होंने अपनी मम्मी का हाथ पकड़ा, बोला क्या बोल रही है माता जी आप, लेकिन आपको लग रहा है अब सभा बन गया है, माहौल बन चुका है उसके लिए चिराग भाई?
सो राहुल भाई, आई अंडरस्टैंड योर क्यू। मुझे जब भी कोई ऐसे सवाल पूछता है तो मैं समझ जाता हूँ कि अब मेरा इंटरव्यू समाप्ति का समय आ गया। आई एम जस्ट लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड टू हियर अ गुड बाय फ्रॉम यू बिकॉज आई नो वी आर डन विद द क्वेश्चंस।
नहीं, ऋषि मिश्रा कैसे, इन्होंने दिया ही नहीं, पिछली बार निकल गए थे, दिया ही नहीं। ऋषि आप सवाल करना चाहते जी? करना पड़ेगा ना, शादी को तो गठबंधन में डिस्कस नहीं कर। हाँ, वो तो उसमें अलायंस अलाउड नहीं, वो अलग तरह का अलायंस।
चिराग पासवान जी, ऐतिहासिक जीत के लिए आपको बधाई। ऋषि मिश्रा बोल रहा हूँ। मेरा सवाल ये है कि लोक जनशक्ति पार्टी का जो आधार वोट है वो पासवान समाज का है, लेकिन आप 29 सीटों में सिर्फ 4 पासवान समाज से आने वाले व्यक्ति को टिकट दिया है। वो भी जिन लोगों को टिकट दिया वो आम कार्यकर्ता नहीं है। आपके पार्टी में हुलास पांडे जैसे बाहुबली भी है, तो इस पे आपका क्या रिएक्शन है?
अगर आप पासवानों का जिक्र करेंगे तो मुझे लगता है कि जिन जिन पासवानों को दिया है, बखरी से जो जीते हैं, संजय पासवान जो मेरे बेगूसराय के जिला अध्यक्ष थे, वहाँ से वो इस पोजीशन तक वो पहुँचे हैं। लंबे समय से पार्टी में प्रदेश के प्रधान महासचिव की भूमिका में थे। अगर आप विष्णुदेव को देखेंगे जो दरौली से जिन्होंने जीतने का काम किया है, उनसे ज़्यादा मुझे लगता है वो शायद सबसे गरीब कार्यकर्ताओं में से एक वो रहे हैं। ऐसे में ही अगर आप श्यामदेव जी को देखेंगे, जितने भी पासवानों का अगर आप जिक्र करेंगे तो इसमें से कोई भी पासवान आपको ऐसा नहीं दिखेगा जिनको बाहर से लाकर या हम लोगों ने सिर्फ चुनावी दृष्टि से उनको हमने आगे बढ़ाने का काम किया। और जैसे आपने जिक्र किया हुलास पांडे जी का, या अगर आप कोई और नाम लेंगे तो मैं ज़रूर आपको उनके बारे में बताऊंगा। हुलास पांडे जी वो पहले व्यक्तियों में से एक थे, जब मेरी पार्टी मेरा परिवार 13 जून की रात 2021 को जब टूटा था, तो सबसे पहले व्यक्ति जो मेरे साथ मजबूती से साई की तरह खड़े थे उनमें से एक हुलास पांडे जी थे। आज मुझे खुशी है कि ऐसे लोगों को पार्टी ने चुनाव लड़ने का मौका दिया। राजू तिवारी जी, तो जब सीटों का नेगोशिएशन भी हो रहा था तो उस वक्त भी बातें कही जाती थी कि भैया आप लोग में इश्यूज आ रहे हैं सीट शेयरिंग को लेके। सीट शेयरिंग को लेके नहीं, बट मैं ऐसी सीटें कैसे छोड़ सकता था। मेरे प्रदेश अध्यक्ष राजू तिवारी की सीट, गोविंदगंज की सीट, हुलास जी की सीट मेरे लिए मायने रखती थी, संजय जी की सीट मेरे लिए मायने रखती थी। मेरे अलग अलग समितियों के अध्यक्ष, मेरे फ्रंटल ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस के अध्यक्ष जिन्होंने चुनाव लड़ा है, तो ऐसे में मैं ये मानता हूं अगर आप सटीक आकलन करेंगे मेरी एक एक सीट का और मेरे एक एक प्रत्याशी का, तो आप देखेंगे कि इस बार लोक जनशक्ति पार्टी रामविलास ने परिवारवाद को ना बढ़ावा देते हुए, इंपोर्टेड हेलीकॉप्टर लैंडिंग वाले प्रत्याशियों को ना बढ़ावा देते हुए पार्टी के शुद्ध कैडर को आगे बढ़ाने का काम किया। और शायद ये एक बहुत बड़ा कारण है कि परिणाम ऐसे आया।
The battle for Bihar has barely got over. The Prime Minister already training his guns on West Bengal, saying the Ganga flows into Bengal from Bihar. He's very clear. The BJP hopes to make a go for Fortress Kolkata and the BJP cadre ready and raring to go. Let's listen to some excerpts from Prime Minister Modi's victory speech at the BJP headquarters.
बिहार में कुछ दलों ने तुष्टीकरण वाला MY माय फॉर्मूला बनाया था, पर आज की इस जीत ने एक नया सकारात्मक MY माय फॉर्मूला दिया है, और ये है महिला और यूथ। आज बिहार देश के उन राज्यों में है जहां सबसे ज्यादा युवाओं की संख्या है, और इसमें हर धर्म हर जाति के युवा है। उनकी इच्छा, उनकी आकांक्षा और उनके सपनों ने जंगल राज वालों के पुराने सांप्रदायिक माय फॉर्मूले को पूरी तरह ध्वस्त कर दिया है। कांग्रेस की राजनीति का आधार अब सिर्फ और सिर्फ नेगेटिव पॉलिटिक्स हो गया है। कभी चौकीदार चोर है का नारा, संसद का समय बर्बाद करना, हर इंस्टीट्यूशन को अटैक करना, कभी ईवीएम पर सवाल, कभी चुनाव आयोग को गाली, कभी वोट चोरी का मनगढ़ंत झूठा आरोप, जाति और धर्म के आधार पर लोगों को बांटना, देश के बजाय देश के दुश्मनों के एजेंडे को आगे लाना। कांग्रेस के पास देश के लिए कोई पॉजिटिव विजन नहीं है। सच्चाई यह है कि आज कांग्रेस, और मैं बहुत गंभीरता के साथ कहता हूं, आज कांग्रेस मुस्लिम लीगी माओवादी कांग्रेस यानी एमएमसी बन गई है। ये कांग्रेस मुस्लिम लीगी माओवादी कांग्रेस है, ये एमएमसी है। कांग्रेस के जो सहयोगी दल हैं वो भी समझने लगे हैं कि कांग्रेस अपनी नेगेटिव पॉलिटिक्स में सबको एक साथ डुबो रही है। और आपको याद होगा, इसीलिए ही तो मैंने बिहार चुनाव के दौरान भी कहा था कि कांग्रेस के नामदार तालाब में डुबकी लगाकर बिहार चुनाव में खुद डूबने और दूसरों को डुबेने की प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं। मैंने पहले भी इसी मंच से कांग्रेस के सहयोगियों को चेताया था। मैंने कहा था कि कांग्रेस एक लायबिलिटी है, कांग्रेस एक ऐसी परजीवी है जो अपने सहयोगियों के वोट बैंक को निगलकर अपनी वापसी करना चाहती है। इसलिए कांग्रेस से सावधान रहने की जरूरत उसके सहयोगियों को भी है। आज भाजपा की हर सफलता का आधार उसका कार्यकर्ता ही है। और अब आज की इस विजय ने भाजपा कार्यकर्ताओं को केरला, तमिलनाडु, पुडुचेरी, असम और पश्चिम बंगाल में भी नई ऊर्जा से भर दिया है। और हां, गंगा जी यहां बिहार से बहते हुए ही बंगाल तक पहुंचती है। बिहार ने बंगाल में भाजपा की विजय का रास्ता भी बना दिया है। मैं बंगाल के भाइयों बहनों को भी आश्वस्त करता हूं, अब भाजपा आपके साथ मिलकर पश्चिम बंगाल से भी जंगल राज को उखाड़ फेंकेगी।